Oh, Austin.
Hey, I'm Austin.
Yes, that is you. Hello.
So you're late.
Yes, I apologize. Traffic today was rather like shitting out a bunch of shurikens.
Wait, how?
That happens? What happens to your anus when that sort of thing happens?
Really, really awful, awful things. Only, instead of shredding and blood and probably a good deal of chipped porcelain if you're presumably taking a shit in the right place. My legs are a bit numb, and the roads are clogged with cars. So it's almost the same thing, only not at all.
Hold on, back up. In this metaphor, did someone eat shurikens, or were they thrown into the body and then made their way down?
I don't really think that eating them, because when speaking metaphorically, when you drive home, you don't really sit in front of a meal and be like, oh fuck, I guess whatever they serve me, I'm gonna eat. It's kind of like it's a product of necessity, the commute. You're sort of like, well, home is there, I am here, I need to go from there, here to there. So it's sort of something that gets forced upon you. I envision like one of those like stomach tubes, that people get fed through when you go like all vegetative state or something like that. And some guy is like, I'm just gonna put a couple of ninja stars in here.
Is your pants like horribly ruined now if you're shitting out shurikens, or?
My metaphorical pants have been completely fucking ninja farted right the hell out. Yeah.
I remember the days of ninja farting.
Silent and deadly.
Well, mine were more like Naruto, where they just kind of loud and obnoxious.
I suppose. I guess it depends what sort of era of ninja fart movies we're talking about here.
Yeah, I used to scream "Believe it" at people after it happened too. It's like, that was so rude. This is the middle of communion. Believe it.
That just happened, son.
So I asked myself. I said, with Leon gone, who are we gonna get on the podcast? What kind of qualities would such a person have? So first, experience podcasting, right? Because we're professionals here.
That's us, to a T.
So that's number one. Number two, funny. So, Chris.
Yeah.
And then, fan of Fire Emblem. Those are the only important things that I considered when asking someone to be on this podcast.
Coincidentally, I just picked up Fire Emblem, God, I forget what this one's even called. Awakening?
Yeah, the new one?
Yeah, the 3DS one. Yeah, I just picked it up.
Excited.
It's whooping my monkey ass left to right. It's getting kind of sad. Not supposed to do side missions as soon as they become available.
No, not immediately when they open up, unless you're on like pussy mode, whatever the lowest difficulty is.
I'm on hard because I was like, look, I'm an experienced Fire Emblem player.
Because you're a grown ass man.
I'm a fucking adult. I can crush this game meant for children, and I'm on like my 18th wipe. Like, what the fuck, man?
So Taylor contacted me earlier, and he was like, okay, I'm playing on normal mode, and I'm so bad at Fire Emblem. He's like, this is my first Fire Emblem. I died like 6 times on this mission. What am I supposed to do? And I could not. I dumped all of this information on him. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
This game, like, if you try to play it in any sort of, like, perfectionist, like, everyone survives, no deaths, like, all that, like, all recruitable units possible, this game is balls hard, because, like, one of the first missions is, like, alright, all your units are, like, down in their little starting corner, except for 2 fucking shitty-ass units who are stuck in the middle of just wyverns and fucking archers and fighters. It's like, good luck getting up to them, because once you do, you're stuck in this shitty single like fucking line that's just gonna get swarmed by mages and wyverns, and it just sucks. I had to like start manipulating a rescue thing and sending my Pegasus Knight, like pulling people. It was just the saddest thing ever. It took like 8 tries before I finally got that mission.
I actually said this to Taylor. I said Fire Emblem Awakening is both the easiest and the hardest entry in the series, because the normal difficulty is like a joke. Like, I'm dealing like 400 damage per attack, and no one like is actually mathematically capable of hurting me. And then on lunatic difficulty, it's like it's just fucking impossible. It's not humanly possible to win.
I have not tried lunatic yet. I'm still I'm still nursing my way through hard right now.
Hard's a happy medium. You'll feel like you put some work in, but you don't You're not like, fuck this game.
Health is a valuable commodity in this game. I have found that out very quickly because the enemies have a shit ton of it and you don't at all.
How do you feel about Mega Man, Chris?
Mega Man?
Yeah.
Loser. Caring about Mega Man. What are you, 7?
No, I'm just curious. That was just a question. That wasn't.
No, I've never been a Mega Man fan particularly.
We might need to do a crash course on podcast inside jokes. So Leon, the former person who was our third member, he was a big Mega Man fan. In fact, that's pretty much all he ever wanted to talk about. So that's what that was about.
Yeah.
What else? We invented a sex position. It's called the full Leon. What else? I feel like we have a bunch. We started the Warble Crunch movement.
Yeah.
We hate Blizzard.
Yes.
Hate Blizzard? What do you got against Blizzard? What do you got against Blizz?
Lots.
We love Valve.
Yeah.
How original. Is this the hipster douchebag podcast too?
Pretty much. That's one of the reasons also that we need you, because I know you play like LOL and stuff, and we can't do that.
I do play some LOL from time to time, a little bit. I'm playing some Smite. I may have gotten very excited when I was like, ooh, there's a DC MOBA coming out! Woo! So I actually started looking into it, and I was like, this looks awful.
I know for
like,
a fact
there's 3 different Batmans? Why?
I know for a fact that the mobile app that they designed around it is absolute and total shit.
The DC, I can't remember what the game's called.
Injustice, isn't it?
No. This is a MOBA game based around, like League of Legends, but with DC characters.
Oh,
based.
right.
And like their whole gimmick is they're like, it's based off the multiverse. So my thought was like, oh yeah, cool. You can have really cool different skin designs for different DC heroes based on how they are in different universes. Like, no, we're just gonna have 3 different Batmans as 3 different totally separate characters. So you get like regular Batman and like steampunk Batman, and then you get like vampire werewolf Batman. Like, what the fuck is this? Why are there 3 different Batmans in this game?
There's only one other real important qualifier that we need to know, I think, before we officially start this podcast. How do you feel about Sean?
Sean?
Yeah, Sean.
Oh, that one? Oh, stupid Sean who fucking loves his Final Fantasy games. No matter how, it's like the worse they are, the more he likes them too.
I think we're good here, Austin.
It's like every time like something awful comes out, like just Square Enix just farts out a new game with like half the work. He's just like, this is the best in the franchise.
This is like fan fiction that I wrote. Like, someone comes on the podcast and is like, I love Fire Emblem, I hate Sean, and then Austin swoons. This is the best. All right, so with that, I guess we can just actually do the part where, oh gosh, that's another thing we probably need to explain to you. Every episode, Johnny says bullshit, and then we try to respond to it, and then we just talk about video games like that first part didn't happen.
Wait, what? What does he do? He says bullshit, and we try to what?
No. Basically, I guess every time we begin a podcast, I try and invent the most outlandish name for a non-podcast that doesn't exist. We've not actually once, I believe, referred to this as the Blistered Thumbs podcast.
Oh, okay.
So, like, one time we were, like, the Burning Down Orphanages podcast, and one time we were, like, the Smoothie podcast. He just, like, makes up a thing, and we try to, like, improv, but usually just involves me insulting him.
You should do Genuflect, the Catholic Mass podcast.
Oh, we've gone after the Pope before, haven't we?
We did, yeah. It was the Pope cast that 1 week, wasn't it?
I want to do the Genuflect podcast. I, like, joked about that on WMR a few times. Like, I should do one. I fucking love Genuflect as a podcast name. I have no idea what I talk about since I've been separated from the Catholic Church for about 6 years now, but it'd be a pretty sweet podcast name.
Presumably you could talk about how that makes you humble.
Yeah, it is. I mean, genuflecting is pretty fucking, introspective and shit.
I get some of that. I mean, except for the humble bit. I don't get that at all.
No, it's not humbling at all. It just hurts your knees once you get old.
Nobody likes that.
Some people do. Like, what if you're like, hey, I want to, not work for the next 3 weeks. I'm just going to have my knees break genuflecting en masse.
You fall down.
And I get paid workman's comp.
That's how you do.
And they can't shit on you because it's related to religion. And bam, you're safe. Because the moment they start calling you out on it, you're like, oh, I'm going to bring upon you the wrath of 1,000 gods, lawyers.
Are we planning insurance fraud right now? Is that what's happening?
No, nobody's planning anything.
We're not yet, are we? Because they can't prove it's insurance fraud if they don't. I mean, I'm like, in the moment, it's going to look really real.
I'll bleep this part out.
I've watched a lot of professional wrestling, so I know how to fake an injury. I have to be like, and then I stand up and kick you in the throat.
What?
You only sell for so long, and then your leg's fine. That's how professional wrestling works, which I assume is how physical activity works.
And then, of course, afterwards, after you hurt yourself and file, you have to make a loud declaration to your employer that next week at the Super Slam, you are going to show them how to make a Frappuccino on the cappuccino machine.
No, I just shit on their desk.
But at the Super Slam, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess I could do that there, too.
Because, I mean, you would probably want to save that for the pay-per-view event.
Nah, it's an every week sort of thing. My boss just saves a spot on her desk for just where my dump goes.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have to take some
She increases that radius depending on what she sees me eat throughout the week. Because I only poop like twice a week. I'm like a raptor. I assume that's something raptors do. They're pretty cool.
Are we just assuming things about raptors?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that pooping twice a week was a component of being pretty cool.
Yeah, I just assume raptors only poop twice a week and they have these colossal dumps. It sounds cool, so I assume raptors do it.
I have too many questions. I don't even know where to start. I think we should probably do the video games thing.
All right, does that mean we're beginning the podcast?
Unless you want to discuss raptor bowel movements.
Maybe later. That sounds like something our listeners might want to be clued in on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another spine-tingling episode of Tales from the Dusk Files, your premier source of paranormal, strange tales that are too strange to be fictitious. This week, we'll be looking at a podcast, a group of young gentlemen, if you will, designed to broadcast their thoughts to the masses. What happens when, inexplicably, one of these podcasters disappears? Our young protagonists, Mr. Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney, are confronted with a brand new situation. A new podcaster in the mix. An X-Factor. A fly in the ointment. Maybe a funny fly. Maybe a fly experienced in podcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Mr. Chris Larios.
Oh, Chris Larios want podcast. Oh.
This podcasting monster soon begins to dominate the airwaves. Will Austin and Johnny be powerless to stop his incredibly funny and witty commentary? Tune in tonight to find out.
Oh, I have to be witty?
Well, for the tagline, maybe we could, get something for a trailer. Those comedy movies that put all the funny bits in the trailer? We could have, one or two things where it's, all Downton Abbey and shit. And then clip that out. And
okay, I could dig this. Okay, all right, you're gonna sell me to be funnier than I actually am, which is good because I need that.
All right, okay.
The funny just doesn't appear. I mean, it's Monday. You guys really should record podcasts on a Friday night when I'm already hammered and my pants are off. That's when the magic starts flowing. If you know what I mean.
Wait, you don't get hammered and take your pants off on a Monday?
No, please. I'm responsible. I have a job to go to the next day. Please.
I just learned a very valuable lesson about myself.
I just do it Tuesday through Thursday.
So, in case you guys haven't figured out by now, noble listeners, our podcast today, that is hosted by myself, Johnny Maloney, and my cohort, Mr. Austin Yorsky, we are joined by none other than the popularly known as Mr. Rolo T, Chris Larios. Chris, say hello.
Dahoy hoy, everybody. What podcast am I on? Is this Nerd to the Third? What is this now?
Nah, this one's Tales from the Dusk Files.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Really weird shit happens on here, and then we talk about it, and in no way do we ever discuss video games in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, phew. Good. Because I don't think I've played a video game in 3 weeks.
Yeah. So don't worry, you're going to be okay. So,
You won't even notice that Leon's gone.
Toenails are pretty fucked up, right?
Yeah. Also, has anyone else fucked a mummy recently? That's what this was, right? It was a podcast about monsters, having sex with them?
Before or after they cursed you?
Well, before. And then
okay.
The curse is what makes you never go back.
No, you see,
the curse is hepatitis.
My problem is that I thought the only way to get rid of the curse, it doesn't really matter. So, how's everybody doing? Austin?
I have my microphone muted because I was cracking up that whole time. No one would be able to hear over that.
Might make for good radio. I don't know. We could have included it in the trailer for the podcast, We'll include a bunch of quotes from you, like, I was cracking up the whole time. Nobody could hear the podcast but for me laughing.
Yeah, that's really pleasant to listen to.
I don't think you're allowed to have quotes from the person in the podcast on the review of it. It's never like Clerks, and then Kevin Smith's quote like, "This is my favorite movie ever." I don't think you're allowed to do that. I think that's generally frowned upon.
But people are listening to us in the first place, so surely we must have some informed and incredibly insightful decisions about this podcast. And
I think you just need to find fans that you can feed the quotes into and then take it from them. Be like, oh, hey, Xboxer2828 says, and then you put like parentheses, Austin, is the funniest guy on this podcast. Absolutely.
I feel like they just tune in every week to see if we're going to get censored again. That's happened like 3 times now, and I have no idea what I'm allowed to use in the titles anymore.
Aw.
And there was that one time we had the picture censored, too.
We've had 2 pictures censored. There was the dismembered corpse, and then there was the full Leon. It was just a text description, but apparently it was too hot for Tigwatig.
That's right. I forgot about the text description of the full Leon.
You guys are also too hot for Tigwatig? See,
apparently.
I just made a very improper joke about Whitney Houston on stand-up the week after she died, and that video, too hot for Tigwatig.
What can we say? It's just 3 of the most cutting-edge guys on Channel Awesome hanging out on the internet talking about stuff.
Not video games. If we do talk about video games, I have to say, Chris, it's pronounced Ninian and not Ninan. How do you keep fucking that up?
What is it?
Ninian.
Ninian? That just sounds stupid. Why is it not Ninan?
I don't even know.
Because there's 2 eyes.
Ninan just sounds right. I mean, that's how I said it in my mind, so that's how it's going to be.
Oh, Jesus.
There's a lot of people who I pronounced Marquez throughout for like half of that game until my chat room corrected me, and I was like, oh, I guess for the last 7 years of my life, I've been pronouncing that word wrong in my head all along, so.
Nobody has any idea what we're talking about. We're talking about Fire Emblem. We'll probably come back to it later. Because that is a video game, which we could work that into this podcast. And I know it has nothing to do with our normal, agenda, but video games.
Remember, Fire Emblem 8 was when they started including monsters in it. So, I mean, we can easily transition from, Cerberus and big eyeballs and zombies into Fire Emblem from there. Just, keep that open as a segue option.
Oh, jeez. What kind of news do we have this week, guys? There were some things that were said.
We have a couple of news. We have a couple of bits of news that we can talk about. The first, I think, probably the most pertinent. Before we get our hate on, he says, really excited. Well, no, I guess this is the pre-hate hate. This is like your appetizer hate course. Here we go. We're going to talk about Microsoft. We're going to talk about Microsoft's lack of news. We're going to talk about Microsoft's inability to actually confirm anything, but, their total willingness to let one of their PR project director, what's his official title? I don't even remember.
I believe he was creative director, or he still is. I don't know if he's been fired. Yeah, he's the creative director.
Apparently his LinkedIn profile has been deleted, and, take that for what you will, but we are talking about, in case you haven't heard, Adam Orth. Adam Orth is Microsoft's creative director, and I think, first of all, I just want to get this out of the way. Speaking about Microsoft and their upcoming new console project, which this week I am going to refer to as Project Record Baby. I think it's a little weird that they haven't really said anything about Project Record Baby, but the story that we're talking about, if you will allow me. Adam Orth kind of got I think the word I'm going to use is stroppy on Twitter late last week about everybody, or, some approximation of everybody, we'll just call it the Internet, about the Internet not really being that excited about having a home console that requires an always online connection to the Internet. Mr. Orth was seen to be making comments on a Twitter account that is now private. Okay, sorry, I'll talk a little bit about where I feel like it honestly goes south. But basically his comments kind of run around that we live in the 21st century, everybody's always connected to the Internet anyway, so why is it such a big deal? Get over it. He made a couple of similar comments such as ooh, sometimes the electricity goes out. I guess I won't buy a vacuum cleaner. Ooh, the mobile cell phone signal in my house is really crappy, so I guess I won't buy a cell phone. Where I feel it went really south, and I think this is hilarious too that he's making these comments because Microsoft has not confirmed nor denied any of the rumors going around that Project Record Baby is going to require an always online connection, but this almost kind of makes it feel like the wind is blowing in a certain direction. But I think it really goes south when Manveer Hare, I believe his name is, who's a writer for
BioWare?
Is it? Oh, yeah, he's a BioWare writer, is it?
The guy who confronted him?
Yeah. Oh, he may not even be a writer. I might be mistaken. But Manveer Hare confronted him and basically said, "Hey, dude, don't you know that this always online shit it goes wrong and people hate it and it's terrible?" Citing examples like Diablo 3 or SimCity, and even going so far as to say, it might be all great for you living in a populated metropolis that you're always connected to the internet, but try living in slightly smaller, rural, to use a phrase that I don't want to intend negatively, but more backwater communities. And I believe where it all went wrong is that Mr. Orth's response was, why the fuck would I want to live there? So Microsoft seems to have closed that up pretty quickly.
Well, first of all, let's just all get our positions on the table. All of us are anti-always online console, correct?
Yep.
I suppose. I mean, I guess I'd have to see it in action first. I never played Diablo 3, but it sounds annoying.
I really would want to see like an impassioned defense of the always online console, someone who really wants that.
All right, let's say it's always online, but then they're like, all right, in return, you can stream directly from your Xbox, capture card and all that sort of stuff is right integrated. And, you can instantly upload things to the internet. You can save replays as they happen in every game, no matter what. If there's a lot of really cool features in it, and then there's just this one really shitty one, I'm pretty okay with that. If I can keep HBO Go on my Xbox and then stream and that's a pretty good deal.
Let's say that you can have all those features, but it just doesn't kick you out of a game when you lose connection to the internet. What the fuck is wrong with that?
You're talking sorcery, Johnny, and I don't think magic really should apply in this situation.
I think it should. I think magic should be in more things, particularly children's smiles and rainbows, and maybe the touch of a one-eyed woman who only has 7 fingers.
What? Okay. I lost my train of thought.
Magic moments, Austin. Magic moments. You'll know it when it happens to you.
I don't even know how to recover from that.
I don't think anyone's really pro always online. Though it should be noted, I really don't want to put too much of a stance on this until Xbox or Microsoft rather officially announces specs.
Can we clarify here that nobody is pro online except for the people who are trying to sell it to you? Here, take this plate of shit, eat it, it's delicious.
Yeah, until what is coming up soon? What's the first big event coming up soon? Because I think there's something before E3, right?
Well, Microsoft is kind of planning an event a couple of weeks before E3, which is when people think that they're going to reveal the Record Baby. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, why do you keep calling it Record? It reminds me of that Flow Rider song, which is based off of another song. It's the cover, but I can't remember who did the original one, so I'm just going to reference the Flow Rider version, which is
okay. We can change it. But... We can change it.
No, I think
we'll call it. This week it's going to be Gravity Badger. There we go.
You can't use Gravity. Gravity's already the Gravity. There's inside jokes are piling up. Okay.
Okay. All right. Fine. No, we won't use Gravity Badger this week. It's going to be the Microsoft
Alabama Puppy Fart.
There we go. That'll do. The Alabama Puppy Fart.
For new listeners / Chris, the joke here is that every week Johnny has a new name for the Xbox console because I was calling it the 720 and he wasn't having that. So that's what's going on right now.
It was Q-Zone, then I think it was Project Atmosphere, and there was another one after that. So, but yeah, okay, we'll go with Alabama Puppy Fart.
Okay, the Q-Zone's still my favorite.
So anyways, what about the Alabama Puppy Fart?
I just want to wait till Microsoft holds their event and announces your console must have a persistent internet connection for it to remain active, to be able to play it. If then they announce it, then yeah, that's the point I'm going to start, shitting fire and contemplating maybe picking up a PS4 because I'm still really not, I'm just not a Sony guy. But until that happens, I remain very passive on it because I don't want to get myself riled up and they're just like, no, always on meant you need to always have the console turned on. Stupid.
Part of the problem is just pure PR. You'd think if it wasn't always online, they would just say so. What's so hard about just saying no? That would just clear everything up in an instant. The fact that they're not saying anything is kind of scary.
Well, there's the possibility that they are completely bound by legal reasons. Like I would imagine that the people who are in charge of the non-disclosure agreement don't actually work in the section that actually develops the Xbox. It's probably some dude who works, I don't know, in a satellite station that geosynchronously orbits above Redmond, Washington, and then the moment somebody's like, blah, 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 Alabama Puppy Fart, always online, this alarm goes off and they get hit with this fucking orbital cannon. There's probably like, you're not allowed to say anything about it unless you're denying rumors that it's always online. I mean, that's the sensible explanation for why they're not saying anything, because nobody wants to get fired, except apparently possibly Adam Orth.
Well, that's the thing. After this whole thing blew up, they Microsoft released, actually it was their PR firm Edelman released a statement saying that he didn't speak for them, which is, technically true, I guess, but he should probably have known better than open his fucking mouth when everyone's watching and ready to chew your head off if you say anything. That was probably not the best career move for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but putting that thing in your Twitter account that's like, oh, these represent my views and not necessarily my employer, that's like, great, you may not lose your job, but you'll lose one with your employer. I'm insinuating that clause doesn't necessarily work that well.
It's not legally binding is what we're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't really hold sway in the court of public opinion either.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like somebody is like, my next Xbox console's always, hold on a second, his views don't represent Microsoft? Oh, well, I guess I'll just take my passionate nerd rage and just let it simmer and just die down, because that's how it works.
Yeah, sensible solutions for a level-headed internet.
No, I'd be pooping into my USB drives, hoping that it somehow travels across through him. Like just sprays out of his webcam at his face or something.
Only if you poop into your USB 3.0 ports. I'm afraid 2.0, you just get a vague bad smell that comes through the internet.
Yeah, you definitely need high speed for that. You don't want that lingering.
Broadband.
So what was the topic again?
Well, here's my questions. A, do we actually think there's any truth in this? Do we think Microsoft would ever release an always online console? And I guess 2, how much do we care? Do we think it's going to be an automatic failure? Are we overreacting? I do think that they have the balls to release an always online console, particularly seeing what they just tried to slip by us with Windows 8. Microsoft is trying harder and harder and harder and harder to become more like Apple as a company. And at least in the operating systems front. And I don't know whether or not that completely translates over to their Xbox development crew, but it essentially means that they are trying their fucking hardest to lock things down. They want to be your only source. Like, the whole Windows 8, App Store and things like that was like, oh, hey. It was, I'm going to go ahead and say, a failure at this point in time, but that doesn't mean that they didn't try to put some exclusive in there, hoping that there was something that they could, turn the heads of people who were like, no, I'm going to stick with my Windows 7. Oh, what do you mean DirectX 11.1? Golly. But as far as the Xbox goes, I would not be surprised that they try to do it, because they're trying to become more like Apple, which means that they want to be the exclusive source for all the games that you have to buy off them. I mean, this is what Xbox Live is. It's an unfortunate realization that we have to kind of come to, that part of the price that we pay for the great infrastructure versus something like the PSN is that it is all content controlled by Microsoft. So I would not be surprised, for one, if they decided to step up to the plate and had the hubris to say, oh yeah, it's always online, but fucking that's not going to bother anybody. We as Microsoft, yo. And in answer to the second question, I think it sucks, so it matters to me.
I don't believe in vilifying companies when something that comes across as almost a move that a Lex Luthor villain would make in a comic book. The general perception right now is that this always online thing is just an awful idea. So our immediate perception when we hear a company like Xbox trying to do it, or Microsoft rather is trying to do it for the console, we immediately are just do these guys just not care about money? Are they just idiots? If this is something they're legitimately considering, I have faith that there are enough intelligent, college-educated people with an idea or desire to continue being prosperous in the future who have said, if this is what we're doing with our console, there is a fiscal, a business-related reason with numbers and statistics to back it up that says this is why we need to go with this model. Otherwise, I don't see it happening. I just don't see them doing it because they're just like freaking pirates stealing games or whatever.
No, it's not a problem. I'll tell you what it is. It's not a problem with piracy. It is a problem with the used game market.
But even then, I can't see them saying to themselves that they need that market, or I just feel like they're going into this. If this is what they're going to do and always online, I have to imagine there is a very business-oriented mindset into creating that option. That they're like, all right, we'll do this, but we also need to make sure the console is very appealing in other ways to offset the fact that it always needs to be always on. I feel like, I know this console's been in development for a very long time, but if this is what they're going with, they had to have seen the backlash to Diablo 3, and even though SimCity has been very recent, that still would also have to play into their minds. I have to think they would have to see this and understand it as a problem far in advance and be able to react to it. I can't see it just being like a thing that they're just like, oh yeah, Xbox, Alabama puppy fart, also always online, and I guess the graphics are better. So good luck, everybody, and then that's it. I just can't see that.
Do you not think that perhaps they might be victims of, like, having the ego that it's like, oh, yeah, Diablo 3 was a disaster. Oh, yeah, SimCity was a disaster. But not us. I mean, come on. Because one of the interesting stories for me that popped up regarding always online DRM for the past couple of weeks was when Frank Gibeau, who's like a VP at Electronic Arts, stood up at GDC and was like, yeah, guess what? DRM is a failed experiment. And I was ready to be like, holy shit, they actually fucking recognized that they totally fucking messed up. But then, like, the very next second, he had the stones to be like, oh, but by the way, SimCity's always online. Yeah, that's not DRM. That was like, it was a design choice that Maxis made. So it's like he's like, yeah, it's a total failure, but not for us, because we went in with this completely different idea. No, it's not DRM.
To be fair, Diablo 3 and SimCity are like the two most profitable PC games ever released.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that's what I was going to say when you said, will the console be a success? I mean, if it is true it's going to be always on, it's definitely going to take a hit to profits, I imagine, but I think a lot of people are just going to buy it for the sake of buying it. I mean, I definitely feel like it'll hurt the console, and depending on the way they're trying to sell it, if that's one of the biggest features of it, if it's not like supremely amazing in a lot of other factors, then I think it's something that they may have to go and retroactively remove if they want it to be viable in this market as things go on. Because, I mean, this last console generation has lasted about, 7-8 years? I mean, if they're going to have a console that's going to be always online and there's not a lot about it otherwise that makes it that attractive, then they're going to find themselves slipping very quickly in the markets.
Here's what I'm taking away from this. I don't think they're positioning it so much as a console. I think they're trying to rebrand the Xbox as kind of just like an entertainment thing. It does your Netflix, it does your games, it does your apps or whatever, it does browsing. Like, the rumor right now is that's just going to be called Xbox because it's just
Alabama puppy fart experience. Now with laser show and smell-o-vision.
If they might go always online and just downplay the fact that it's a game console. Of course, like, it has to be online. It's your Netflix machine, and it also plays Halo. Like, I think it might be an issue of completely changing how we think about consoles going forward, because the Wii U is kind of a toy. The PlayStation 4 is going to be, what we think of as a console, and then Xbox is going to be console plus other things. I don't know. I feel like if it came out always online, people would buy it at first, and then we'd maybe see like a bunch of returns from families who didn't do the proper research and didn't know it needed to be online. I think that would be pretty funny.
Well, you do actually. That is an interesting point, because it's entirely conceivable that by rebranding it as something else. Although let's bear in mind as well that this is something that the PS3 tried desperately to do when it first came out. It was all like, oh, it's your multimedia center, Blu-ray and free drinks and back rubs, and how would you like your steak done? And
yeah. To be clear, I don't care what they say. I wouldn't get an Alabama puppy heart if it was always online, even if it gave like free blowjobs while you're playing. That shit is bullshit.
I would find that distracting.
Well, I mean, are they good blowjobs? Because look, I mean, you can get a lot of blowjobs, but there's a difference between going to the bunny ranch and getting the blowjobs from like a hot Scandinavian woman and then getting one by like some toothless hooker behind a Red Lobster dumpster. They're two different quality. What kind of blowjobs my Xbox Alabama puppy fart giving me.
We're talking about mass-produced blowjobs here. We're talking about,
There's no good. There's not going to be any heart in that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Microsoft's personality and their exclusives. It would probably be like a really inexperienced one. Like they don't really know what they're doing.
Every 2 minutes, they're like, are you enjoying yourself? Do you like that? Do you want to tweet about this? How about you post it on Facebook?
Would you like us to tweet your O-face? Like, no. I thought I opted out of this.
Oh, man. Social media.
Xbox refuses to give you one because you're like, it doesn't have enough room to calibrate size. You need to clear your furniture around.
Oh, there's a good Connect joke in there somewhere, but I'm not witty enough.
It is an interesting question, though. I say we pose it to the audience, now that we have the PS4 stats, and it's pretty much, like, it's pretty open source. It's going to an x86 architecture, it's got some DDR5 RAM in it. We haven't even seen that in, like, home PCs yet or anything like that. They're not going to have any problems with used games. It's not going to be always online. With that out there, do you, the listener, do you feel more inclined? If Microsoft came out tomorrow and was all like, fuck it, always online, eat shit, or, always online, but I promise it won't be unpleasant. Just
that's the tagline.
Lay back and think of England. Would that influence your buying decisions? Would it influence what you put on your Christmas list? Would you be like, I'm not going to buy it, but if my mom decided to get me one, I'd be cool with that. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Journalism, feed me.
So I think that's basically the first story. We got that one. We hit it good.
Well, the next one's very simple. I fucking hate Blizzard.
Not a good story at all. You're just rude.
Nah. Well, I mean, I do have my problems with Blizzard, and regular listeners of the podcast will know that Austin does as well. But this is a weird one, actually. This doesn't have anything to do with how I feel about Blizzard, to tell you the truth. Apparently, StarCraft Ghost is still in production. In
the same way that Half-Life 3 is in production, I imagine.
In a worse way than fucking Half-Life 3 is in production. Like, I believe that Half-Life 3 is a thing.
Yeah, there's concept art in a room somewhere.
Like the logo, it's just HL and like a 3, and every so often they cross out the 3 and they draw a new one. They're just like, no, that last 3 was too sharp. We need a softer 3.
Yeah,
can we get that in Comic Sans? There we go.
They change the kerning in the font every now and again.
Yeah.
And they update the resolution. They're like, whoa, fuck.
They just keep crossing out what consoles it's going to be on. Eventually they're just like, whatever PC you have at the time.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And Neo Geo.
So for listeners who are all like, what the fuck is StarCraft Ghost? I don't blame you.
I remember StarCraft Ghost being, like, unveiled when I was, like, elementary school.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like old. That's so old.
It's 11 years old at this point in time, at least from its announcement. Its pre-design period probably dates back even farther than that. But StarCraft Ghost has been in quote unquote development since 2002. And according to a recent interview PlayStation Official Magazine had with Matthew Berger, employee of Blizzard Entertainment, when asked about StarCraft Ghost, quote unquote, it's on hold. It has never been cancelled. Dramatic effect added by creative license. So I think the most important question is, who cares?
Well, it's the famous vaporware. I say the same thing I said about Half-Life 3. Is I'm not sure I even want it anymore. It's been so long that not only is my hype dried up, but the genre, the market has moved so far that I don't know if it would even be relevant.
I mean, I couldn't give any less of a crap about this because I don't even like StarCraft, period. RTSs in general terrify me. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! The Falsebound Kingdoms on the GameCube, and the moment I had to control more than 2 units at the same time, I just start crying. So I've never touched StarCraft. So if StarCraft Ghost is in development, I mean, good for it. But I couldn't care.
So, I should probably explain that this is like it's not like a StarCraft 2.5 or 2 3/3 or even StarCraft 3.13159. StarCraft Ghost was originally designed as an offshoot. Rumor kind of had it at the time and possibly now I guess. I don't know. My memory's quite hazy of it, but it was supposed to be a third-person stealth kind of shooter where you take control of a Ghost, which is a Terran Confederation unit in the StarCraft universe. They cloak. They're like, super commandos with these sniper rifles, and they go in all danger-like. And imagine Command and Conquer Commando, I think it was called. CNC Commando. Wow. Don't imagine that, actually. Or imagine it if you want, I guess, because, I don't know, it might be something like that. I guess it's probably pretty close, actually, now that I think about it.
Johnny, can I stop you for a moment?
Yeah, go for it. Please do, because now I can't stop thinking about CNC Commando, and I'm terrified.
You've done very well explaining StarCraft and Command and Conquer and all that. I'm just saying, if I was a woman right now, my pussy would be bone dry after listening to that.
I'm not really sure the purpose of StarCraft is to get people laid.
I think it feels like quite the opposite.
I would imagine so.
I wonder what the birth rates in South Korea are right now. I can't imagine it's too good.
It seems like not a month passes by where I don't hear a story about police breaking down some dude's door in South Korea and discovering a baby that's underfed and suffering malnutrition because some dude is either gold farming or playing StarCraft 2 too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've established no one on this podcast right now is a StarCraft fan. I think the important thing is, how long does it take before a game, before it's, announced and it becomes vaporware that we don't care anymore? Is there, a point? Was everyone, super excited about Duke Nukem when it came back? Or oh, yes. And then, I don't know.
There's the novelty of seeing it come out that I think gets people excited. But that might have just been Duke Nukem because that had become the go-to joke of Duke Nukem in development, quote-unquote, forever. Or, it's one of those things. Half-Life 3 will probably, or Half-Life Episode 3, whatever comes out first, it'll probably get the same treatment.
True, but, I mean, after Duke Nukem sucked, I think people kind of, I don't know, I feel like it changed something in the culture, and now that we're a little bit more cynical, I don't know. I feel like this would have been, front-page news a couple years ago, and now it's kind of like a joke. We're StarCraft Ghost is still around.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case, Austin, because we all saw what happened with Aliens Colonial Marines.
I wish I hadn't.
I mean, it did have a pretty extended development cycle, and everybody was like, oh, this game isn't coming out, and it was canceled, but then it wasn't canceled, and it was delayed, and then it was delayed again, and then,
Johnny, what do Aliens Colonial Marines and Duke Nukem Forever have in common?
Gearbox.
Yes.
As well as prolonged development times.
Yeah, but specifically Gearbox.
I thought they both had, modes where you have to, use strippers as flags and capture them.
That would have made Aliens Colonial Marines way better.
I think if you get, one of the Xenomorphs, put in, a tight little bikini, and then just run around slapping it on the ass to make sure you go faster, that'd be pretty entertaining. That'd be a pretty unique multiplayer mode.
That sounds like a lot of Photoshop work for a title card. I was also thinking about, what am I going to name this episode? Xbox Blowjob? I don't know if I'm allowed to say Blowjob.
Aliens Colonial Marine Swimsuit Edition.
Oh, Jesus. We have to censor out the egg sack. I feel like that's not safe for work.
I mean, yeah, I guess that'd be like showing your ovaries.
Oh, geez. Anyway, so, I mean, yeah, we don't care about StarCraft Ghost personally, but I just thought it was interesting kind of culturally, is if we are still enamored of the idea of vaporware coming back.
I'm surprised that fucking PlayStation Magazine even bothered to ask about it. It seems like that, when they were cobbling questions together in the boardroom, some dude was like, you should ask about StarCraft Ghost.
Did he have a hot dog that shot out of his mouth right before he said it too? Because that for the visual, that greatly amuses me.
Dude,
he's like, what? Can you ask him about StarCraft Ghost? Now where'd that hot dog go? Oh, it's on the floor. It fell in that spilled Mountain Dew. Oh well, I'm not winning any Mr. Universe trophies.
Yeah, I think for the purposes of this hypothetical situation, we are going to say that hot dogs shooting out of noses is a necessity.
But I also like to point out that something that's changed from now and back when StarCraft Ghost was first announced is the company is now owned by Activision. So roll that around in your brain a little bit. I think we might see it.
That tastes kind of like suck.
Also, we have Obama now. Are we really going to see StarCraft Ghost under a black president? I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. Maybe we could get away with that shit during a Republican administration, but not anymore.
See, I'm not sure if this is a political joke or a racist joke because
it's a mix of everything.
Okay.
It's a potpourri of just stuff.
What if they give it to... Actually, no, sorry, wait. Blizzard North doesn't exist anymore, does it?
I can't even keep track anymore.
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
the lesson that we learned here is that StarCraft Ghost can disappear.
You probably spent the last 4 hours working on that one.
Yeah, that one took me the greater part of the day to come up with. We can all exercise StarCraft Ghost from our minds. There you go.
No.
Exorcism are real things, Johnny. I don't like you making light of that sort of scary situation. You fucking monster.
Anyway, how do I transition? Because usually there'd be a part where Leon would go, "So can I go now?" And then I'd be like, "No, we have to talk about this." And that was the transition. Now we're just gonna.
I mean, I would like to leave. I have other podcasts I could be doing right now.
How many different shows are you on?
More handsome
right now it's like 3, but I can just make a new one up at the top of it. Like, all right, guys, I'm gonna be doing a podcast on chai tea. It's gonna be called Chai Time, and every week I'm just gonna. Yeah, no, that's a stupid name. That's why, Johnny, you're not going to be on Chai Time, because you come up with stupid name ideas.
Am I invited?
Yeah, I like you, Austin. You're a cool bro.
Awesome. We're bonding.
But Johnny cannot come, because the moment he comes in, all the women in the room are just going to dry up immediately.
Because I talk about all the StarCrafts.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not letting you bring that to Chai Time.
No. Chai Time is all about the ladies. I get that.
No, it's about chai tea, stupid. Ladies, just listen. You're embarrassing yourself.
Keep up, Johnny.
Don't worry. I'm working hard at this. I think I'm winning.
Johnny, have you been playing any video games recently?
A little bit, actually. I have been playing a little bit of video games. It's been a little difficult this week because, I thought, like, March. I've told you about my troubles with my work in March. And I was like, finally, fucking March is over. I get to, like, actually, have regular amounts of time. And, like, the very first day I came back in April, they fucking dropped a trainee in my lap. So I've been a little overworked with that lately. But I did find some time this weekend to finally finish Tomb Raider. So that was a thing.
Was it as good as Vera said when we had her on here?
I think she was maybe embellishing a little bit. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was a very well put together game, sufficiently dramatic. Not a lot of twists and turns, but I didn't necessarily expect it to be complicated. There was no moment where it was like, oh my God, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time and whatnot. But it went on a little longer than I thought it would, because it, like, escalated, and then it kind of, like, pulled back a little bit, and then, like, started moving up again. So I was sort of like, I felt like I was getting close to the end, but then I wasn't. So I felt like the last act was a little dragged out. But, I mean, it was good gameplay, like, I didn't feel disadvantaged by the prolonged game. I just sort of felt like it was a clumsy, writing trick to be like, oh, and then let's have all this other stuff to do as well. So yeah, she may have embellished a little bit, but it was really good. And I am curious now, after the story about Square Enix losing so much money on projected sales of their last 3 major releases, whether or not we're actually going to see a sequel. Because I feel that it was adequately put together, adequately publicized, and that it sold well enough to warrant a sequel. But if it underperformed, I'm not sure if they're going to see it explicitly as a failure or as something, like to call it middleware is ridiculous. But
I think of the 3 big releases, Sleeping Dogs, Hitman, and Tomb Raider, we have the biggest chance of seeing a new Tomb Raider. I think Sleeping Dogs will be the first to get the axe.
Considering that it nearly saw the axe when Square Enix kind of swooped in and rescued it from the ashes, I would not necessarily be surprised. But
and also, I mean, Square Enix right now is top to bottom reorganizing everything. We might see a more reasonably budgeted Tomb Raider 2, I'd imagine.
I would hope so. That is my hope for it. But it all really depends on, whoever gets to sit in the big chair at this point in time, exactly how they feel about the performance of Tomb Raider. Because again, the way that they're selling their financial troubles right now is not that they overpaid for these games, but that these games underperformed.
More specifically, that the American market isn't as strong as they thought it was. It's like their game is perfectly fine, and they didn't do anything wrong. They're just there needs to be more Americans, is how I read. They're basically. And
still, strangely, no mention of the horrible, awful, miserable disaster that was Final Fantasy XIV, which I think they're still putting money in to fix, which is just ridiculous.
I don't know if they're just trying to save face for that brand at this point. I feel like if they throw it under the bus, they worry that they'll be, killing the sheep when they still feel like they can get a couple more games worth of wool out of it.
They're going to be shooting the gift horse in the mouth with the pellet. I don't know. That's mixed metaphors. I'm sweating here. So I did that. Yeah, I finished Tomb Raider. It was enjoyable. I want to see a sequel. I hope that Square Enix doesn't recognize it as being a failure. It was loads of fun. So yeah, there was that. I'm also very slowly plodding along through BioShock Infinite. Slowly. I get a couple hours in here. Like I got to play it for like 90 minutes yesterday, and like maybe an hour on like Thursday or something like that, or 2 hours or something like that. So, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to play. Not because it's difficult or like there's hindrances to actually playing it, but I've reached this point in time now where while trying to play it, everybody interrupts me to ask me why I haven't finished it yet. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm trying to. Could you shut up? And they're like, but it's so good. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to play it right now. And they're like, well, tell me when you get to the ending. I'm like, well, I have to get to the ending first. Can we please let me play the game? And there's also everybody like, it's so great. Like, being in the quote unquote games journalism industry is fantastic because like my entire fucking Twitter feed is just lighting up with people who are all like, no spoilers about BioShock Infinite, and it's like all these non-spoiler tweets all like cobbled together to make like one giant Voltron spoiler. So, it's getting difficult. I'm enjoying it, but it's holding me back, man.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It was like when well, I don't want to actually give anything guys, but like leading up to the release of Halo 4, it was leaked and everyone was like talking about it in like such vague terms that I knew how it ended, even though no one explicitly spoiled it.
Yeah.
You can kind of read between the lines of the non-spoilers and figure it out and accidentally spoil yourself.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping that that the storytelling actually manages to pull it off properly, because you can go in knowing the end of something, or at least having some very definite ideas about the end of something, and still enjoy the ride. So yeah, I am enjoying the ride. Like I'm really kind of finally embracing. I think I'm like 10 hours in or something like that, and I'm finally sort of embracing all these things that they've added to the game. I'm familiarizing myself with the tonics and like the skylines and shit like that, and I'm really coming into my own in terms of the way I interact with the game, and it's really opening it up for me. And I got time to play one more game. I played The Sims 3, but we're not going to talk about that because there's really nothing to talk about.
Did you torture any of them?
Yeah.
Okay, well then you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Chris, did you play any games this week?
No, I don't play video games. No, I guess I played a few. I played a couple. I bought Fire Emblem Awakening because I'm a big Fire Emblem fan, as many know.
All right, get ready, everybody. Here it comes. Go for it, guys.
Fire Emblem Awakening is the best.
I haven't played enough to say best, because the writing in it is pretty god-awful thus far.
I will fight you.
Let's be honest. These are some pretty bad characters. It's like every Japanese archetype just thrown into this game. It's like, hold on, we got the one lackadaisical guy who wants to relax and overeat. We've got the one guy who's like a super suave Casanova guy who's super flowery with his speech. He loves every chick. And you got the one dude who's like irrationally afraid of women for no reason. It's like the Breakfast Club of shitty JRPG characters. It's amazing.
I got a very important question. Is there a guy in it that's broody and doesn't say very much?
Yes, he is also the same guy as the one who's irrationally afraid of women.
Right.
But there might be
shut your dirty whore mouths about Long Q. He is awesome. He does have a reason he doesn't like women. You just haven't found it yet.
Oh God, I had to dig through probably like 8 fucking support conversations to piece together. It was like, he's afraid to talk to women because he finds them so fragile. He might break them or something stupid like that. Look, I've heard people try to justify this thing before. It never comes out well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the characters are one note. I mean, when you have an army of like 50 different people, they all can't be Hamlet. But I don't know.
The gameplay, it's pretty good thus far. I have no complaints there. I'm still very early on in the game. It's rather difficult. I'm on hard mode, and just don't go for side quests immediately off the bat if you're playing this game. Like, because it's like a world map that you can kind of move around on. The moment a side quest opens up, don't take it. Just let it sit there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Come back once you've got like decent units finally.
I think the first one that opens up is the one where you recruit Donald, and all of the people in that map can kill you in like one shot. The first time you go
I
there.
managed to do that one on my own. But the second one that opens up with the thief girl in the corner, I have not been able to complete that because you have to book it to save the town. Like, you have to just send like 3 horseback units, just completely just throw inhibition to the wind. You're like, I just hope none of you get hit by the 5 fucking mages who are right across the ocean. None of you have resistance.
I was actually talking to Taylor about this exact mission because I was totally trying to sell him on Anna, that character in that map, as the person he should marry as his avatar because I'm weird like that. And he was like, I've done this 6 times. I can't do it. And I was like, listen, pussy, either you put it on fucking casual mode and admit that you suck, or you actually use strategy and you get across the map. I don't know. I feel like I'm that asshole who's like backseat gaming so hard when people explain their Fire Emblem problems to me.
I can understand it. You play the game long enough, you sort of look there, you're just like, what, have you not raised any Pegasus units? Are you stupid? That's like half the reason they're there is to get across maps like this. But it's a challenge. It's not easy, especially when you find, like, because if you played Sacred Stones, like, they pop, like, little enemies would pop up on the map every so often. You could fight them, and they were, like, quick little easy missions you could do for extra experience. Same thing happens here, except they're not quick little missions for easy experience. They're like, no, this is the challenge mode, where we get to fuck up your units 7 times in a row before you just rage quit and stop playing for a day.
Yeah, I think it might be dependent on the map they spawn. Like, if the random encounter is like on one of the first 2 or 3 missions, like, it's easier, and if it's like the later ones, it'll be harder. I think that's how.
I think I'm only on like chapter 6 or 7, and one spawned on the map where you first enter like the territory of those. I forget what it's even called, like Fergus Regal or something. I don't know.
Right.
They showed up there, and it's like a map of like 7 archers that can all like one shot me. It's just disgusting. It's very depressing. I don't want to relive it.
I'm sorry.
I've also been playing XCOM, which, again, you know, for other grid-based tactical RPGs of mass murder and death, that's going on too.
You playing Iron Man mode?
Oh, hells no. I've never played XCOM before, so I set it to Classic initially, and squad wiped, like complete, like, everyone I had ever had in that game was dead in like 6
happen.
missions. So I had to restart the game on normal.
I'm curious, are you playing it on the Xbox or on the PC?
PC. I'm actually doing a Let's Play of it, so.
Oh, cool. Listeners, you could check that out.
You could. Twitch.tv.
You should probably just...
There you go.
So you probably should just plug everything. You're on like 10 different shows.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter at RoloT, Weekly Manga Recap. It's every, Wednesday, twitch.tv/RoloT. It's 7. That goes to Glasses the next day on Thursday. D&D 2 Worlds, D&D campaign I'm in. We stream that on Fridays. I got a lot of different things.
What aren't you in?
Well, until now, it was kind of this podcast I was holding on to. I was like, I've never been on the Blistered Thumbs podcast, thank God. But I guess I'm here now, so.
You have to slum it at least once to see what it's like.
I think I've been on like every podcast on Channel Awesome at some point or another.
You just can't walk across the internet without stubbing your toe on some Chris Larios.
Someone eventually they're gonna find like that old discarded episode of Scam Police, and they're gonna be like, "Wait, this was on that guy with the glasses?" And of course, Rolo T's in this fucking podcast too. I hate that guy.
Yeah, I would hate to be someone who doesn't enjoy the sound of your voice and trying to enjoy some content on Channel.
I imagine you're gonna get like 8 comments on this podcast, and a lot of people are like, ugh, you had the sultry Leon in here before, and then you brought fat Daniel Craig in, and it's awful. Not Daniel Craig. Who's the Harry Potter kid?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe. They're very similar. They're both British with D names. Daniel.
I'm picturing fat Daniel Craig.
I could be a fat Daniel Craig as well, except I don't have a very good British accent.
Well, that's classic. So what have I been playing? Oh, I finished God of War Ascension. Do we still care about that? Is that old news?
They still
Maybe.
make God of Wars?
Still, see, that's the thing. God of War is done. The story is told. The fact that they are still making God of War games is kind of embarrassing.
Like, I mean, hasn't he killed them all at this point? Like, I remember the first one was like, I've killed Ares, and then it's like, I'm killing Zeus, and then he just keeps going. He's like, well, I guess I'm killing Dionysus this week. I'm pissed off at wine, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they're reaching now. You fight that, I cannot pronounce it. It's the summon from Final Fantasy 13 that Vanille rides, that thing. Hecatoncheires, I think that's how you pronounce it. Fuck. And then you kill, like, the Furies, who are like primordial forces. So, I mean, none of that is even spoilers. That's like in the trailers. It's like, these are the only Greek
We've
things.
killed everything else.
Clarify something for me, Austin. Is he angry in this game?
He's pretty angry, but is it spoilers to say that he kills his family? Because that happens in the first cutscene of the first game.
I mean, it's also in like the trailers, like the.
But that's the plot
commercial.
twist of this game. I'm not even joking. At the end, he finds out that he killed his family, and they play it for drama.
I'm kind of curious. I would really love to see a dating sim starring Kratos, where you actually have to like romance this woman that he's like mysteriously married to.
Only if every option is in all caps, so he's shouting it. But like all of the people he talks to are like the super Japanese stereotype one, like, oh hello senpai, can we go to the movies tonight? He's just like, I was off to go to the movies with your blood.
I hear that Kate Winslet is fantastic in that Victorian drama.
There has to be in every dialogue option, like always has to include one option. It just says Ares.
No, it'll be like Heavy Rain. There'll be a button to Ares. Like press X to Jason.
Press X to Ares.
Ares.
I'm dead serious though. How the fuck did this guy get married?
Well, presumably he wasn't always a murder monster. That happens because he in the first cutscene of the first game, it shows he's on the battlefield, he's about to lose, and he trades his humanity for power. So presumably up to that point, he was not just death incarnate.
Until you talk to Kratos' wife, and he's like, oh my god, no, he was a loser before that too. Yeah, the murdering stuff's new, but before that, always left the toilet seat up, cried at every movie for no reason. Like, the Muppet movie, really? Have you not seen Muppets in 6 years? No, he was a complete fucking wreck.
But, I mean, I said last week that the prequels have introduced some plot holes. Someone, I think in the comments, mentioned that Hades did bring up you murdering Persephone in one offhanded comment in the third game. So that wasn't 100% true. But I stand by the sentiment that the prequels add little to nothing to the series. There's no characterization. There's no, backstory that needed clearing up. He's just the same as he always was. I didn't feel like I was, enlightened about the plight of Kratos.
I do agree with your assessment as well that adding more and more prequels basically makes less and less sense the later games. But being that last guy that tried to fuck with Kratos was a chump. Me, I'm gonna be the guy.
Yeah, I mean he's killed things that are so powerful that by the time the later canonical games roll around, you'd think the people would have stopped fucking with them. They haven't. It makes no sense. But here's the thing about Ascension is that it actually does get a little bit better gameplay-wise as you get into it. Once more options start opening up to you, they did some interesting things with the items you get. So it's not a complete wash, but I just feel like the story and the characters have run their course. It's over. I feel like either you drop it or you reboot it in a different mythos with a different character. I want to see God of War Norse edition. I want to see someone stab, Loki in the face. Why not? Has anybody else feel this way?
Didn't they do that? Wasn't it called Being Human?
Oh, Too Human?
Yeah, Too Human, excuse me.
Well, the thing about Too Human is that no copies are allowed to be sold of it now because there's that court order of the way that they use the engine from it. Remember? I don't know if you remember
this.
Yeah,
the Unreal Engine, wasn't it?
They were ordered to burn all the copies of Too Human. So that might even be a collector's edition. I'm just saying, I feel like Greek is over. Let's move on. Is there any pantheons you want to see get murdered? Do we want to fight Buddha?
That would be pretty sweet. Although, admittedly, I do play a lot of Smite, so I mean, I've kind of satisfied my whole killing gods from different pantheons fetish.
But you haven't done it in a QuickTime event where you tear out their eyes and shove them up their ass.
That would be pretty satisfying. Find Xbalanque and just rip off his head and just find a way to slowly force it down his anus. And just and I'm just tapping X to do it. I'm just I feel so satisfied with myself.
I can't really see any other way to continue the God of War series at this point. Do you think the market would accept a complete reboot like that, or would they just start over the story of Kratos?
I mean, not for nothing, but can't you just take the engine and just put a new IP on it? I mean, isn't that kind of what the Heavenly Sword was like? I know it's two different companies entirely, but I mean, it's not like this is a genre that just requires a constant character to pull it forward. I mean, for the longest time, it was God of War, but I mean, in recent memory, we've had like Bayonetta as sort of like our big go-to hack and slash game as of recent, and then Devil May Cry has existed a while. They just rebooted that. I mean, you could reboot it or just make a whole new IP and just build essentially the same sort of game.
I say we meet them halfway and do it with the Roman pantheon of gods.
So it's just the same. They just rename them all.
They pretty much.
They're just like Mars.
Just every god looks exactly the same, except they all have curly mustaches now. Like, they just add that on top.
Oh, jeez. What else? I think... I'm playing Persona 4 Golden. I don't want to be. I don't... It's a long story involving Taylor from Shinkara. We were planning a thing, and I wanted to get my facts straight on Teddy, who I hate with all of my soul. So I'm playing through that game again, when I should be playing Fire Emblem Awakening for my fourth time. So... my life was just completely consumed by JRPGs when I have other things I need to be doing. That's just kind of how I've been rolling recently. I have no idea why. Someone needs to take away the Fire Emblem Awakening cart before it gets bad.
See, I downloaded mine directly to my 3DS, so it could never really escape.
What happened, Austin? You put it away.
So the new Spot Pass DLC came out last week? Yeah, I think it was last week. So there should be like a 2-week break before the next one comes out. And then there's another 2. That's usually how they go. And there's 2 more. And then I might actually be done. But I don't know if you know about this, Chris, but the DLC for Fire Emblem is fucking pimp.
Now, I saw a preview or an ad for one of them on Facebook. The Nintendo page linked it. There's paid DLC, I know that, but it's like they start giving you characters of other Fire Emblems. Just be like, here you go, here's Ike.
Yeah, the Spot Pass DLC is like every important character from every game for free, but they're all pretty generic. They don't have any like incidental dialogue, and it's just like a portrait of them and like a generic model. But the paid DLC is like they have dialogue and some like I think they have like a unique character model and stuff. So you can go all out and get like the Ike, or you can just have like a Lord unit named Ike.
You can just have like Schmike, and he looks like Ike. He kind of like sounds like him, but
it's Ike Light.
Now, can I get Lynn or Hector?
Yes, I have Lynn and Hector,
right.
But they're not the full. I didn't pay for Lynn and Hector. I don't know if Lynn and Hector are paid yet. I know there's Marth and I'm trying to remember who else. There's a couple paid ones who are out. I've been dealing with all the free stuff.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if it's not Lynn or Hector, you just stop there because I don't care. All the rest of the lords. Lame. All right.
Wait. So is Blazing Sword your favorite Fire Emblem?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I got into it. That's how I got introduced to the series.
I think that's how most people do. I know that's how I got into it. So Lynn is my favorite until this new game. I don't even know how I feel about all of this. I'm still sorting through all of those emotions. People who've been following my journey over the last couple of weeks are probably starting to worry about my sanity for Fire Emblem Awakening. It's not a healthy thing in my life right now.
I think we've come out the other end, Austin. I think those of us who were worried about your sanity have now recognized that it may very well be a lost cause.
Pretty much.
Or they're just actively rooting for you to lose it. They're just like, God, I can't wait for this guy to just completely blow his fucking gasket.
Everybody loves a good train wreck.
You know what? If they didn't want me to lose my shit, they shouldn't have made it so good and had so many different dialogue options that I have to grind so I can see all the supports, because the people over at the Fire Emblem Wiki are too slow translating it all and fucking transcribing it.
Okay, I have a very important question on supports. Are you only limited to 5?
No, almost every character in the game can support with every other character.
Okay, phew, thank God, because I've already done like 6 supports for 4 supports for one character. I was like, I should have checked to make sure you're not only allowed to do 5, because I am going to have like 3 different C-rank characters on this one chick if I don't stop soon.
Yeah, that's what's so great about it. Every character has like an arc with every other character, except for a couple. I was talking to Taylor about this earlier, but there's a few characters that don't, and it's usually because they're plot important and they have like semi-canonical love interests. I won't get into that. But yeah, like there's like 50 different fucking dialogue trees for every character. How am I supposed to... I don't have time. There's not enough time in a human life to grind all these supports out.
What worries me is if they're all like Veda and Dorcas from Fire Emblem 7 support, where it was literally like two different options of them not talking to each other, and then the third one they just like are finally like, oh hey, there you are. All right, well, peace. It was like A rank support gotten. Like, wait, what?
There's a couple of them that are less satisfying. The ones that like don't make any sense. Like these two characters probably shouldn't be friends, and those ones are usually like little comedic skits. Like there's not a lot of substance to them. But most of them are like surprisingly interesting. And there's a lot of like, for some reason, there's like a running joke about pie. Like every character bonds over pie. It's
what?
Fire Emblem the Baconing is what we're calling it. I don't know. It's a thing. You'll see it. People really like pie in this game. I think it's a localization in joke, but yeah, I don't know. I'm losing my mind because I have to see all the dialogue, as I've stated on this podcast like 1,000 times. So I that's my life. That's what I've been doing when I'm supposed to be like writing news articles. I'm just sitting here grinding out supports between people who probably shouldn't be friends.
Yeah, you're just like, these two units, they're terrible. They don't like each other, but I gotta see if they bond over pie.
That's pretty much my life at this point. Yeah.
I just want to know, you're like the sad puppeteer over like a lonely little stage where you have two little puppets who are bonding over pie. You're just like, come on, why won't you talk to each other? And someone comes by like, Austin, you want to go get something to eat? No, I'm doing my stories.
Pretty much, and it's weird too because I'm like the sports and shooter guy on BT. I review Madden, I review Call of Duty, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, come on, talk about your feelings, do it. I need to know about your dark past. It's really sad.
In more ways than one.
Well, maybe next time they should have less interesting sport conversations. Have you ever thought of that?
Write a letter, Austin.
I'll think about it.
Write a letter from your heart to the world.
There's going to be a lot of racial terms he's going to have to cut out of that if it's coming straight from the heart.
I made that joke last week about how I'm editing the N-word out of the podcast a lot, and Leon actually got offended. That was funny.
He was just like, you don't edit it out enough. I keep hearing it slip through.
Oh, geez. I'm curious about how people are going to take this one. This is an interesting episode we've had. We'll have to have you on again so we can talk about all of your Fire Emblem things. I need to know how you feel. We have to share feelings.
We have to share feelings? Is that
over pie.
Is it? Well, all right. Well, I can do that, but will you get off my ass about Nanan? For reals, man.
Say it right at least once.
It's Nanan. It's just Nanan to me. Nanan, I don't... if I was doing that in the Furious Mingy voice, that would have gotten old real quick. I mean, come on now.
Fine. So, Johnny, usually Johnny has a thing where he tries to bring it full circle with his intro and have an outro. Usually, though, he fails, so I don't know if you have one this week.
I don't know if you guys know, but this whole time there was a monster on the wing of the podcast.
Should we do a barrel roll?
Let's do a barrel roll.
Oh, that's almost as bad as an arrow to the knee joke. I feel bad.
I hate both of you. Almost as much as I hate Sean, but I do hate both of you.
Fucking Sean.
I hate Sean so much.
So what am I going to call this episode? Can I say blowjob? Should I say fellatio? Xbox fellatio? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Can you say Xbox sexbot?
See, Holly edited out sexicon, which is not even a real word.
What? Sexicon?
It was like sex lexicon because we added.
Is that she changed it to sex lexicon?
No, I think she just edited. I think she just called the episode like Throbbing Hufflepuff instead of Throbbing Hufflepuff.
Wait, Throbbing Hufflepuff is okay, but sexicon isn't?
Throbbing Hufflepuff sexicon.
I've greatly underestimated the quality the quality control on this, and I apologize. I've probably used so many things that are going to be edited out. Half this episode is going to be blank.
No, see, she doesn't care. She doesn't listen, so she doesn't know the content. But
you just send her a title, and she's just like, Sexicon. Well, that just sounds stupid.
Pretty much, yeah. So I don't know what's even safe anymore because we got away with some shit, but then like the one infamous episode was the Cheeseacost, and we didn't get any shit for talking. We made Holocaust jokes for like 10 minutes, no one cared. And then I showed a picture of a dismembered woman's torso, and that was across the line. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, come on now. You should have known better.
I didn't make the image. It was an official press release from fucking Deep Silver.
Yeah, it was part of the Riptide. It was the Riptide Collector's Edition. They have this like 11-inch bust that's just like a dismembered woman's torso in a Union Jack bikini, and that was too much.
Ooh, that's kind of hot.
Oh, Jesus.
You guys don't think so? Am I alone on this?
I think I'll pass on that one.
I got to admit, I was a little turned off by the gore.
It's like
Turned off?
It didn't bother me. It was the blood.
It was the blood. Yeah.
Blood's just a natural lubrication.
Damn it! I knew you were going to say that. I was trying to stop you. See, that's a common misconception. Blood is not a good lubricant. It gets really sticky and like tacky if you rub it.
Jeez.
Lots of iron in there.
Yeah. I might put this part in.
It oxidizes terribly.
Listeners, do not use blood as lubricant, please.
Yeah, there's like one guy who's just like halfway through, he's just like, oh, well, you could have mentioned that like 5 minutes earlier. What the fuck?
Well, yeah, I don't know who wouldn't use this podcast as like mood-setting music. You turn the lights down, light the candles.
Oh, shit. Are we using this as mood-setting? Hold on, let me get into my sexy voice. Hey, everybody. It's the Blister Thumbs Podcast with Austin Yorsky. What's Jimmy? Yeah.
That just made my week. Okay, Jimmy.
All right. Guess it's Jimmy this week.
It's Jimmy forever now.
Okay, then.
Oh, good.
I guess I'm okay with that.
All right. So, I don't know. I think that's this week, guys. Anybody else? Got anything?
No, I think I'm all spent at this point. Oh, yeah.
Chris, stop arousing the listeners.
I can't help it. My voice is naturally sextastic.
Sextacular. I don't know what we're doing for the future of the podcast. I know Chris was going to be this week. Taylor said he wanted to be on. James wants to be on. I have no idea what we're doing. So, literally, there is no plan. That's the plan, in case you're wondering.
I think that's probably how we operate best. With little to no plan.
Okay. So, I'll probably be bugging you again, Chris. I don't know when or where, but
you'll find me.
Let's have a big thank you, big hand, everybody. Guest host, Mr. Chris Rolo T. Larios. Thank you, Chris.
Woo! We're not supposed to applaud for my whatever. I'm just happy I've made a Last of the Mohicans reference. That's like my crowning moment of movie references right there, and I feel like I got nothing for it.
Yeah, this isn't a place to come for if you want any kind of like positive reinforcement. This is a quicksand of sadness.
It's a very barren land of positive reinforcement. It's very valuable here.
That's what they called my anus at that one club.
What? I think I should just let you guys. I think I should be the one who should have quit, and you guys can just do this. I can't keep up with this.
But then, if you weren't here, how would you be able to appreciate all the jokes about Sean? How he loves all the terrible Final Fantasies.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
Because, like, you notice that, right? It's like all of the terrible Square Enix games, the ones he loves.
I had this conversation with Robert, too, because he defends Final Fantasy VIII. It's just, of all the games, why?
Sadness, loneliness. Quistis is kind of hot. I feel like that sexy librarian thing.
With, like, 84 polygons.
Yeah, boy, you know what I'm talking about. Come on. We were all teenagers at one point. We all had our lonely nights staring at the screen like, oh, Quistis, one day he'll be real.
No, I played football in high school. Sorry.
Oh, so you actually got laid. Oh, that's different then.
Oh, geez. Johnny?
Oh, I had already graduated by the time Final Fantasy VII, I think, even came out.
You're old as shit.
Yeah, that's me.
Sorry.
He sounds like he's 12.
Sorry, not the case.
You have a very youthful voice.
I do. I've got a very youthful face as well, actually. I had to break the news to a coworker today how old I was. He didn't believe me, so I actually had to provide identification. I was like, there you go. And he's like, holy shit, what have you been drinking? I want some. And I was like, no, it's my bourbon. Besides, it's inappropriate for my boss to be drinking in front of me.
So I'm confused. Is this over now? Is this still recording? Are we, like, doing a closing, or...?
I don't. Yeah, that's the glory about this is we usually just let it go until everyone just slowly fades away.
It just kind of ends.
Yeah. Sometimes we say stupid shit at the end and then I leave it in. So yeah, I mean we're done. If you guys want to take off,
like I can just get up now and just like leave my mic unmuted and like
just eat chips.
Yeah, like just start like doing things like surfing the internet, washing dishes, farting, shit. You just keep recording it until eventually I'm just like, my anus itches today. You're just like, boom, cut there, we got it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Actually, it's weird having 3 people at the end. Usually Leon had ditched us by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys just want me to leave early then, like just feel like family.
So we can talk about you behind your back.
Yeah. I assume you only have good things to say as you're insanely jealous.
As soon as he's gone, I'm like, damn, he's really good.
You're
right?
like, oh my god, I fucking love that roller tea guy. What a great ass.
Completely. I've already started drafting my Chai Tea podcast ripoff ideas.
Better fucking not. God, I'll break your fucking back like Bane.
All right. How about a green
Then I'm
tea
gonna
podcast?
toss your fucking crippled corpse into a dumpster full of poop and cum.
Oh my God.
Where are you going to find a dumpster full of poop and
I'm gonna
cum?
fill it up myself.
Should have seen that coming, Johnny.
Well, that just means at least I have a little bit of time before he breaks my back. I was looking for a time frame, really. So, because if he's going to fill it up, presumably that's going to take a little while.
You'd think. I have huge loads.
Oh, jeez. Well, that...
There you go. There you go, Austin. A little something for the outro.